Welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the County Council meeting. Today is April the 1st, 2025 at 6:03 p.m. I'd like to call it to order, and first order of business is a moment of silence. Mr. Root, would you please lead us in our invocation?
Yes, sir. Please pray with me if you'd like to. Well, dearest Father, thank you for this day that you have made. Help us not to take it for granted, but to really value every moment that you give us. They're precious. Help us to remember that they are gifts, and to use them wisely, to use them in love, and during this meeting to do that. To value our time, to value the time of others, to be guided by your principles, and that this meeting really be an outpouring of your will. I pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Next, our pledge of allegiance. Mr. Elliott, would you lead us in our pledge of allegiance? Next order of business, county attorney comments.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just have one. I need a motion to amend the agenda to remove item number 2 from executive session. The company's not ready to have that yet. That's discussion regarding an economic development matter, Project Beamer. So if I could just have a motion to amend the agenda to remove that, that's all.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing further.
And I understand that was item 2.
Item 2 on executive session. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Next business is county administrator comments.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. One, I just want to indicate to members of the audience and to council, Mr. Matt Durham is on the telephone. The council chairman wasn't feeling well. He is on this phone. I'm not playing video games on my phone when I'm touching buttons, so I'm just making sure that we mute or unmute as necessary. And the second item is just a matter of clarification. It is the first item under the consent agenda for procurement, item number 3. The funding source for that is for the 911 surcharge funds. Typically, we list the funding source on the agenda, and this was just an error that we did not include that on the agenda. I just want to make sure that that was understood.
Thank you, Ms. Brock.
Yes, sir.
Our next item to address is consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be moved from the consent agenda for later discussion? Hearing none, I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Any consent items? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is 5 ayes.
Right, our next agenda item is a proclamation. Proclamation 2025-03, a proclamation recognizing Carolyn Maddox, the South Carolina Emergency Management Association's 2024 Volunteer of the Year. And that proclamation reads as such. A proclamation recognizing Carolyn Maddox, the South Carolina Emergency Management Association's 2024 Volunteer of the Year. Whereas volunteers who unselfishly give their time and unique talents are vital to Oconee County Emergency Services operations and provide tremendous support to our communities, and whereas over the last 20 years, Carolyn Maddox has volunteered hundreds of hours as an Oconee County Community Response Team member, CERT, assisting in various activities and community events. And whereas Ms. Maddox participated in calling registered Priority 1 citizens to warn them of incoming danger with Hurricane Helene and helped ensure they were prepared for the storm, after which she spent countless hours transporting donated food and preparing items for relief efforts in North Carolina. And whereas, in addition to volunteering as a CERT member, Ms. Maddox serves as day captain at Our Daily Bread, helping to provide thousands of hot meals to people who are in need of food and temporary shelter and who would have otherwise gone without. And whereas, in her spare time, Ms. Maddox continues her acts of service, often found knitting in spare time to provide deployed military members various items, including handmade hats and scarves. And whereas, for her acts of services and dedication to the people of South Carolina, Ms. Maddox was named the South Carolina Emergency Management Association 2024 Volunteer of the Year. Now therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do hereby recognize and express our sincere gratitude to Ms. Carolyn Maddox for her selfless dedication to serving the community and congratulate her on earning the South Carolina Emergency Management Association's 2024 Volunteer of the Year Award, approved and adopted on the first day of April 2025.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm gonna back it up a little bit, I think. Any of the other shirts we have shown in the group? We all do. Let's do one with Carolyn first.
Thank you,
and then
ma'am.
we'll
Thank you
do
for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
You did? So winner, winner, chicken dinner. We got two state EMD awards. All right, sir, guys.
Come on, sir, guys.
They wanna do a group picture too, if that's okay. If anybody wants to take a picture on their phone, that's fine.
Yeah, give it to Jim, give her your phone to take pictures. She'll take pictures.
I gotta give you a phone.
Spread out.
Take pictures. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can get on the back. I wanna stay in front of you.
This protection still lies.
One, two, three. Can you reach out there and hand me Jim's phone? I'll take pictures for you, then I straight up walk away from your phone. Too bad, so sad, Jim. Oh, there we go. One, two, three. Perfect.
Thank you.
That's awesome, y'all showed up.
Okay. Our next order of business is presentation to council, South Carolina Association of Counties Outstanding Safety Award, Mr. Robert Benefield.
Council, administration, thank you for allowing me to come before you tonight. Again, I'm Robert Benfield with the Association of Counties, and tonight I have the pleasure of discussing some of the things that Oconee County is doing that happen behind the scenes that nobody ever sees or hears about. Nowadays, we hear about county government or government in general, and it has a negative connotation. Every day in our counties, the employees, the staff do wonderful things that no one ever hears about. So there are two things I'd like to bring to your attention tonight. Number one is risk management. That means what we do to keep bad stuff from happening. A county cannot have a successful risk management program without the buy-in of its employees, the supervisors, the department heads, administration, and county council support it. And I want to let you know tonight what a phenomenal job your county risk management team has done. The goal of risk management is to protect the county's assets. The most important asset a county has is its people, followed up by its finances. So two pieces of great information for you all tonight. Number one is, due to your safety culture, your risk management program with the buy-in of everybody, you have reduced your injuries to your employees to the point that you saved over $178,000 last year off your workers' comp premium. That's taxpayers' dollars you all saved by being conscious of what you got going on, and I think that's a great thing for you all to know, is they're saving you all money. Number two, and even more importantly to me, is saving lives. As most of you guys are aware, back in November 2023, Corporal Lucas Watts was involved in a pursuit, and he ended up being shot in the head. By the grace of God, he's alive, and Lucas is doing very well today, making more progress than we ever thought possible. So that's a blessing. Risk management is to learn when bad stuff happens. So when this event happened, Sheriff Crenshaw, Ms. Brock from the county administration, and county council got together and brainstormed, what can we do to prevent this in the future? You all collaboratively came up with thinking about putting body armor in the doors and ballistic shielding on the windows, so an event like this would not happen again. This was truly a collaboration among three entities that generally sometimes don't play well together. So it was great to see you all come together to literally save lives going forward. So it's my pleasure tonight to recognize an award, an Outstanding Safety Achievement Award, to Oconee County for taking the steps to put that panels and window shields and ballistics in the vehicles to protect county's deputies' lives going forward. So it's my honor to present this to you tonight in saving lives and taking care of your people. So thank you all very much for what you've done. You truly make a difference. I'd like to present to you guys tonight what you've done.
Get out of your way. Can I take your phone?
Yeah.
Mr. Arnold? You're part of this?
Come on up, guys.
The thing that I need is, Ms. Brock, I'd like to, I know Mr. Durham's online with us. Mr. Durham, I appreciate you. You're the one that really got this started. And, we just appreciate your support for our law enforcement officers.
This is the first sheriff's office in South Carolina that I've known that's done this. So this is an incredible first step, and you're leading the rest of South Carolina by doing this, so appreciate this, guys.
I'm short guy, come up here. You coming? All right, Robert, you in the middle.
Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, you want to get the award?
You go ahead. It's for the county.
This was a great team effort,
Now I'm
guys.
gonna have to move you again, so I'll block you out. Come on over here. Oh, nobody's taking our picture. Oh, 819. It's a burner. It's a burner phone, don't worry. Thanks, Jen. Thank you so much for coming, Robert.
Yes, thank you for everything. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
A lot of folks don't know Mr. Benfield with the Association of Counties, they provided tremendous support for Corporal Watts through workers' comp for this. And, we just appreciate all the support from them as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just to reiterate, if you wouldn't mind, a lot of this was driven by Mr. Durham. It was a thought he had in a previous year's budget that, you don't find money unless Isabel, not Miss Michelle.
All right. Moving right along, we have reached public comments.
Sorry. I added one to yours.
Oh. Yeah, I was about to miss it.
Thank you, I'm sorry, thank you.
Our next order of business, presentation of the Leadership Award by Friends of Lake Kiowee Society to Amanda Brock.
Good evening. My name is Dale Wild, and I have been president of Friends of Lake Kiowee Society, most of you know it as FOLKS, for the past 5 years. FOLKS focuses on the preservation of Lake Kiowee and its watershed through advocacy, conservation, and education. And I'd like to thank you, Oconee County Chair Matt Durham, and Oconee Council members for the opportunity to present this Friends of Lake Kiowee Society Leadership Award to County Administrator Amanda Brock at this meeting. At our 2024 annual event this past December, we had planned to give Ms. Brock this award, but our schedules just did not align. And for the past several months, my travel schedule did not align with your council meetings. So I do very much apologize for the lateness of this award presentation. Folks wants to recognize Ms. Brock's impressive leadership of Oconee County over the past 6 years. We recognize that she is only the 17th county administrator to hold this position and has over 23 years of experience with Oconee County administration. During her tenure, she has successfully navigated challenging times in the county, including the pandemic, severe weather, now the fire, and economic challenges. At all times, she has led with grace, compassion, and a commitment to excellence. Due to her leadership and that of Oconee Council, Oconee County is positioned for sustainable growth, economic development, and a healthier watershed. Her focus on education, the economy, and improved quality of life has led Oconee County to secure millions of dollars in new investment and a significant increase in job creation. We have worked with Ms. Brock on numerous stakeholder projects throughout the watershed. She has been a true supporter of efforts to preserve the quality of Lake Kiowee while ensuring public access to enjoy it. She was instrumental in working with the Oconee County Sheriff's Department, Mike's still here, to ensure that they have adequate funding and equipment to maintain public access points to the lake, as well as increasing safety throughout the county. This has made a huge difference in litter control and community relations throughout Oconee County. Folks truly appreciates her leadership in preserving the lake and its headwaters that make Lake Kiowee the cleanest lake in South Carolina. We also gave an award to Mike Crenshaw, to Sheriff Crenshaw, for his leadership at the same meeting. But with that, I'd like to present this leadership award to County Administrator Amanda Brock.
I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me add that to the agenda. We have had a conflict of schedule for a couple of months.
And if we could get a picture.
Yes, I changed my password, it's not the same. IT's thing,
Just take it with my phone if you'd like. It'd be great.
your face. I really did change it.
Nice to know we're not trusted.
Still a burner phone.
Cheese.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much, Dale. I appreciate the phones too. Wow. Also, all the nice things you said. Thank you, Mr. Mize.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Next on order of business is our public comment session. Each speaker comes to the podium. If you would, please state your name. You have a time limit of 5 minutes. And at 4 minutes, I'll hold up the yellow caution. At 5 minutes, I'll hold up the red stop sign. And if you can, I suggest try to hold it to say, agenda type items and real citizen concerns for the county. So,
Mr. Lee Hill?
Lee Hill, I live at 188 Coastside Road, and I'm here to talk about an incident that happened on 3-7 in our neighborhood at 137 Leroy Road. It's interesting, I come to the meeting, this first time, hi Amanda.
Hi,
And I
Mr.
get
Hill.
to
How are you?
Name and face together, and Don and Chef Crenshaw's still back there. I spoke with him at length about it. But I moved here in 1998, and I've lived the last 7 years in Oconee County. And it took me from 98 to these, whatever 7 years back was, to find the perfect piece of property to buy on. And that's what I bought. And I'm 15 minutes from Clemson's campus. It's a farm that's been passed down through family for years, backs into Hartwell. It's just pristine property. And when I bought that to get away from Clemson. That's why I moved out there. I have a business in Clemson, and it's provided for my family, and I've been very excited. But when I first moved over here, I was a whitewater kayaker, and I wanted to live in Oconee County. I finally have done that. But folks, we have an issue, and it's going to affect more than just me. There's 5 of us that met with Clemson University the Monday after 3-7. There are, as of today, 4 fraternities that have moved into Oconee County and taken up party houses because the city of Clemson has changed their regs to where they can't get away with the kind of partying that they want to do. And the university, being a land-grant university, will not give property for the fraternities to build houses. And so Clemson and Central and Pickens have worked somehow together to where these fraternities are now coming over here into Oconee County. And there's one right in the middle of our neighborhood on Leroy Road. And they threw a party that affected people almost a full square mile. One of my neighbors knows somebody up at the 911, and they said they had documented over 30 calls that night on this party that they had. Now, this is the second party that they've had in 4 months. The first party, they had people lining all up and down the road, parking out on Lawrence Bridge and walking up and down Leroy Road. And I know most of y'all don't know where it is, but it's a country road. It's dark up there. And at the end of the night, we had a young lady pass out in my mother-in-law's front yard. That's dangerous, folks. The next morning, I don't know if any of y'all know Coach Leroy from Seneca. He was out on his morning walk, and there's a young lady walking down the street, doesn't know where she's at. And he has to direct her where she's at so somebody can come pick her up. When we think Oconee and we talk about invest, this is not what we want in our communities. And we need to address it as a community. And I would like for the council and the county to get together and go over to Clemson University and have the discussions that we had with the dean of students. Because 5 people that are all doing their own things, working and taking time out of their day to go over there, that's one thing. But we as a county need to speak up and say, this is unacceptable. I mean, Millie, who lives 2,000 feet as a crow flies away from where this party happened, she had where you measure the sound, and it was over 10 times what your all's county regulation is. And that was with the sound facing my direction, not her direction, and not taking into effect all the woods in between us. So I talked to Don at length. He's very supportive. Talked to Sheriff Crenshaw, very supportive. Amanda was blindsided on Monday, weren't you? You didn't know anything about
I've
it.
not heard any of it, no.
We need to get together as a community and decide, is this what we want? Because there is a company, there is a gentleman out of Augusta, Georgia, that is monetizing this. He is coming up and buying rundown homes at overmarket price and putting these fraternities in it. There's 20-something fraternities at Clemson University. 4 are already out here, and they think they can get away with whatever they want to get away with. We gotta let them know what the standards are. We gotta set the standards as a community. But being kept up, living almost a half a mile away from my front door to their door, and being kept up till after midnight, I don't think that's acceptable. And the name of the company is Greek Life Properties. It's an LLC, and he's making money doing it. And the thing that really rung true when I came in and met Don, and we put names and faces together, is he said, I hate what you're going through. I sure wouldn't want that next to my house. Well, if we don't do something, there's going to be more of them coming over here. So we need to figure out what Clemson did and do it the same way. Because there used to be party houses in Clemson 8-10 years ago. They're now coming to Oconee County. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Mike Owens.
Good evening, council. My name's Mike Owens. I live out on 343 Knox Road. Just a couple of things I'd like. First of all, I appreciate everything you guys do, the time you take away from your families and everything for our county. I really do. Have a couple of concerns that I would appreciate the council's time and addressing or looking into. I know the county stood up remarkably, in force against a lot of the zoning issues that we've had, in the past. And I think most of the council understands kind of where the majority of the county stands as far as the voters on a lot of the zoning stuff. We're still having some issues that I'd like for y'all to look into, if you would. It goes into plat recording and such as that. It's my understanding, and first of all, let me say, the folks up here at the county offices, when we deal with them, I don't think it's an issue with them at all. They're super nice, they're good to deal, they're easy to deal with as far as communicating with them. I don't know, I think it's maybe some clarity issues. I don't know what the issues are, but I would appreciate them looking into it. The way I understand it, if you take a piece of property from its original tax map number and you try to divide it, say if I bought a 100-acre piece of property and I wanted to split it in four parcels to sell, 420, they won't allow you to record the deed, or the plat. You can have it surveyed all you want to. I ran into this down on Rock Creek Road. It was just a mistake that the original plat that I think Mr. Hart did years ago for the family I bought the property from, didn't get recorded. Well, when I decided to sell the house off and keep the farmland, they wasn't gonna let me record the deed, the plat. And he explained the situation, that it was just an oversight that it didn't get recorded, and that one went through. But I know right now, a particular piece of property that was 4 acres, it was divided into 4 equal 1-acre tracts. It's not an encroachment issue, because that's a totally separate issue. Each one of these properties had its own encroachment onto county road, so that was not an issue. There are 3 properties, 3 homes built on these houses that are under contract right now. The 4th one, the well's drilled, excuse me, and my understanding, there's a contract written interest in that house being built. But they won't let them record. They've got contracts and closing dates that they've had to push out because they can't get the county won't allow them to record these plats because it's split into 4. If you go past 3 separations from an original tax map number, they won't, in a 2-year period, is the way I understand it. I may be incorrect, but that's the way I understand it. They won't allow you to record it. Now, I've not had that issue. I built a couple of years ago, had 8 acres, or 6 acres, I guess it was I bought. I took 4 acres of it and divided it into half-acre lots. Had to do the whole, you can't build more than 3 on one driveway deal, which that's another issue, but at any rate, we've had no issues with this in the past. I don't know where it came from or what has changed. I would really appreciate you looking into it because it's costing, like I said, these investors who built these homes, and when they decided that they were going to get the surveyor out there at one time and have the 4 plats equally divided, and now they can't sell the homes. I just don't. Like I said, I haven't had, personally, I've done this before in the past 2 or 3 years, and I've not had this issue, but now they're running into that. One more quick thing on the 3-on-1 driveway. I understand that when you get up to around 10 or large development stuff, you need to get into subdivision layouts because of water runoff, and I completely get that. But when you get say a 2-acre piece of property, you want to divide it into 4 lots, and they won't let you, and it's a square piece of property, but they won't let you put one easement in there. Or, you know, you get one driveway in, one encroachment into the county or state road, they want you to build 3 on that driveway, and then you have to get another encroachment, which, in my opinion, could be a public safety issue, because you got 2 encroachments instead of 1 right there together. You know, like I said, just to look at it. One more quick, and I know I'm about to get the signs. The county, or the city, the last city council meeting, I attended it and spoke, and we had a lot of opposition. And I know Seneca and Westminster have changed their ordinance. If you get a water tap there, you have to sign it in, my mind just went blank, but you have to basically sign that you will be incorporated into the city at their discretion once the lines connect. To me, that is, we talked about this. If you go in there, even property that I own right now, paid for, if I want to get a tap with Walhalla, if they change this, I have to sign that agreement to incorporate into the city. To me, that's nothing more than a land grab, what they've tried to do. They couldn't get it through the county. Now, when you do that, you lose hunting rights on your property to shoot firearms, farming use, all the use. They're trying to take, it's basically, in my opinion, an eminent domain using the water system to do it. And if they can get all 3 of the cities to meet, then they won't need the county council, and y'all won't have any say as to protecting our rights. I'm wondering if there's a possibility of getting county representation at the next Walhalla City Council meeting for this purpose. Because if you don't live in the city, you don't have a vote. We need representation from our county. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Evans, can I get the number of locations that they parking?
Yeah, I'll get that to you.
David has my number.
Paul Bitterman.
Hello there. My name is Paul Bitterman. I own Westminster Speedway. I came before you guys, I believe 6 years ago, and introduced myself and told you what I was gonna do. Project got stalled out from the COVID and trying to survive through a little bit of a downtime. I've got investors now. We're gonna possibly be open by the end of summer. Wanted to let you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do go-kart racing, stock car racing, motorcycle racing, Jeep rallies, truck and tractor pulling, car shows and swap meets. If I can get the money for it, I'm gonna put a movie screen in and have movie night for the locals. Possibly down the road in the future, a nice family restaurant there, cause I have the old dance hall. Let's see. I know in the past that racetracks have had a bad rap where people think it's a little bit of hell raising and fighting and whatnot. I'm definitely setting the tone different for that. The drivers' meeting will be in the building with a preacher, and we're gonna have service before every race to remind them why they're there, and treat each other like you'd wanna be treated. I wanna create a family atmosphere. Westminster is starving for something, and I'm gonna do my best to bring some kind of family atmosphere to the area, so people in the area can have jobs, and the businesses there will have a little more income with people coming from out of town. I think that's about it. The only other question I got is, I'm not sure exactly how to go about what the noise ordinance is for a business. I know there's a certain time, and I'd like to find out how to go about that and changing it if I can. And that's it. Thank you, folks.
That's all we have this evening.
First off, we get into council member comments. First off, Mr. Hill, I appreciate you coming tonight to explain I would consider a problem that we need to address. I've spoken with Ms. Brock, and we're gonna try to put a plan together to effectively, I don't want to say eliminate, but effectively control or manage that problem. And I've spoken with her about that. Mr. Owens, a couple of things you brought up were discussed in our planning commission meeting, committee meeting today. And Mr. Hart, would you want to, can you expound on a little bit of that? He mentioned the 3-in-1 drives.
Yes, sir. We discussed the problem. We used Mr. James there as an example. He lives on the mountain and is an old road in, and he has made the road passable. But if he gets more than 4 properties up there, the county's gonna say, for that last one, you gotta put another driveway in. Well, that's impossible. You'd have to get a helicopter rather than trying to get another drive. So we're gonna look into that, and what you said about these subdivisions, we're looking into that. And evidently, you must have read my notes, because you pretty much hit everything that I was talking about. So, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Mr. Bitterman, as far as the racetrack goes, I was born and raised here. I remember when the racetrack was a big deal in Westminster. They were fights, and it was kind of funny. But you can't put up with that anymore. You have to be civil. I would ask you, first thing I would see needs to be addressed is make sure you got all your permits in order to get really rolling with that project. Ms. Brock has a vast knowledge of all of her departments, and she could help direct you in the direction you need to go as far as permitting, sound ordinances. Of course, the ordinances can be obtained digitally. You can read them. They are special exceptions to some of them. So I'd ask you to get with Ms. Brock when you need to, and just make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed, all your permits are good, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Give her your information, please.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Any other council member comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So we're wide open for Clemson student housing. They're apparently wide open for frat houses. We need to crack down, put some ordinances in, push this stuff back into Pickens County and Anderson County, where it belongs.
I will say I've asked Ms. Brock to get with the Clemson City Administrator and get a copy of their regulations or their ordinances. And we're gonna make a comparison of what we've got versus what they've got, try to marry those two together, make it workable to protect our interest also. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Miles. Can y'all hear me?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate, Mr. Miles, you facilitating the meeting. I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm trying to stay on the call for the whole meeting, but I can't make any promises. As far as the award from the Association of Counties, I like to thank the whole county council for supporting that and get behind that initiative. I think one positive of it that hopefully the award from the associations they print in their publications is that other counties will see, what this council and this county has done. We'll see that it is an affordable initiative. Technology's changed, and that would see, other communities getting on board with these safety measures and saving and protecting officers' lives. Mr. Hill, on that note here, I think, so the Clemson party houses, I would think at the bare minimum that they are in violation of the county sound ordinance. But I agree, we need to reach out to Clemson City, find out what they've done. I mean, we have Clemson University to me, unresponsible growing at a astronomical rate, getting students. And a South Carolina kid can't even halfway get into the school these days. And they're pushing all those problems over now into Oconee County. So I agree. I agree with what everything was said. You know, we need to get ahead of it and look at it and stop it, you know, before it gets too much more out of hand. Mr. Owens, I believe Mr. Hart and Mr. Mize commented on most of the stuff about plats that was covered in the previous meeting prior to this council meeting. But as far as the city of Walhalla, you know, I've spoken with Mayor Hall, and I've given, you know, my concerns on it. No, I don't support the city annexing county citizens, you know, if you don't have a voice in it. I think it's kind of bad enough that you're a city utility customer and you don't have a vote on county council, but on city council, but you're also now, you know, you're looking at these forced annex agreements. You know, what I relayed is, you know, if you have a good product, you know, people should want to come in. You shouldn't have to be forcing it. And I feel that same way about, you know, Westminster, everything else. There's nothing the county can do to stop it. I mean, I believe the only thing that can be done for the future is to lobby state lawmakers to change the state law to make it where these type of forced annexation agreements for vital services, you know, is halted. But Mr. Mize, I appreciate you taking over, and I'm sorry when I'm not there tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Durham. Any other comments?
Yes, sir. I was fixing to make a comment for Matt Durham's butted in. But I guess it's good because I was wanting to pat Mr. Durham on the back because of his innovation in coming up with this bulletproof glass. He had looked into this before the accident actually, or the crime actually happened. And I think that his innovation and thinking out of the box has really helped Oconee County. Thank you.
And one more thing, Mr. Miles, I almost forgot. The word from the folks at Folks to Amanda, you know, is very well said. You know, I could echo every bit of it. It's county administrator is a very thankless job, and it's very nice to see groups in the community show the gratitude that folks have shown. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Mr. Durham. Thank you, David. Thank you, David.
Okay. Moving on. We're at the public hearing for the following ordinances. This is ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance amending chapter 26 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances with respect to the program to designate Oconee County scenic highways.
Have no speakers.
Have no speakers. So I close ordinance 2025-06. Third reading for the following ordinance is one I just described. Do I hear a motion?
Move.
Second? Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Any opposed?
Aye.
The vote is 32.
We don't have any second readings for this meeting. Next is a first reading for the following ordinance. It's ordinance 2025-08, an ordinance amending chapter 38 of the Oconee County Codes of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only with respect to allowing retaining walls and their appurtenances to be located in lot setback areas and other matters related thereto. I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
First reading for ordinance 2025-09, ordinance to rezone parcels 111-24-01-001 and 111-24-01-010, such that they will lie completely within the community commercial district pursuant to Oconee County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Article 8.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
We don't have any first and final readings for any resolutions. There were no action matters removed from the consent agenda, so there's no action there. Next is discussion regarding action items, PRT Commission Local ATAX recommendations for spring 2025 cycle of $75,000. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve of local ATAX recommendations as presented.
So moved.
Any discussion there? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Our next item is request for council to approve to submit an airport improvement grant application to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and South Carolina Aeronautics Commission, SCAC, for the airport taxiway pavement rehabilitation construction project. It's the staff's recommendation that council approve submittal of an airport improvement grant funding application to the FAA and SCAC for a taxiway rehabilitation project construction.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I may just make a notation, the reason there is no dollar amount associated with this request for the grant application is that the bids have not been opened and there is not an exact dollar amount to be requested. Once the bids are opened, if the county is awarded this grant, we will bring back the amount for council approval then.
Thank you, Ms. Brock.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0.
Our next item is request for council's approval for the submission of the fiscal year 2025-2026 Oconee County Opioid Recovery Fund application to the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund, SCORF Board. It's the staff's recommendation that council approve the submission of Oconee County Opioid Recovery Fund application to the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund Board.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
I've got a whole lot of questions.
Okay.
I was here when they sued, or the county become a member of this suit, and for this money to be obtained. So we got, I think it was $3 million, and this grant, or this budget here is what, 1.6 million? And there's 91 million going to the, 91,000 going to the city of Westminster, 50,000 to Seneca. Different charities here that, well, I won't tell you which they are, but let me just read you the figures. 15,000, 106,000, 100,000, 172,000, 167,000, 260,000, 182,000, 87,000, and 106,000. And we just might as well throw that whole $3 million in here and get rid of it and not worry about it.
Any other
Mr. Chairman,
discussion?
may I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Hart, at the risk of making other people a little bit angry, I sat in on the last opioid response committee meeting and immediately called our staff liaison after. And it's not that I have anything against the municipalities receiving funding. And all of the votes were made by the task force, so that they were all approved and voted on by the task force. But I had a little bit of heartache with it too, because maybe in my imaginative mind, I thought that we would be doing more like clinical type of spending. There's a couple requests in here for actual capital equipment. But once you read through the documents and you have a chance to go speak to the organizations that are receiving these things, like, there's a Polaris or like a ATV, they have a drug take back box on the back of it. So there were things I didn't understand about it, because I had a little bit of heartburn about it too. There are some really good benefits in these things, these capital things, of course, from one-time expenses. But on the front side, it gave me a little bit of heartache too, because of the fact that it seemed to me that we were almost funding ourselves, so to speak. Not the county funding itself, but like the cities and the county receiving funding for this. But we are the ones who provide the infrastructure and the law enforcement and the identification of and the handling of opioids, needles, and other materials. We're also the ones that can do educational outreach in a much greater aspect than any of the smaller nonprofits are capable of doing. And I think because of that, it's a little bit easier to swallow.
That's the reason I didn't read any of these charities that we're getting that money.
Yes, sir.
Because some of them, I think, do a good job at what they do, but, like I say, it's free money.
I'm with you, Ms. Brock. I read through this entire package yesterday, and I went through every recipient of that funding. And when I first looked at the first page, I thought this was negligent spending. Till I read in the folks that's gonna receive it and what they're gonna do with it. So I had your same feelings about it.
I think there are just some things here that, Mr. Hart, I understand the concept of the free money, but I think there are some things, particularly in a small city's budget. If, say, the police chief, and I'm with Mr. James, you seem to be the one we're gonna pick on tonight, so I'm gonna go with you. Do you have a new police chief? And he recognizes that you have a community opioid issue. He can't go to the city and say, hey, I really need all this new equipment, without being able to make cuts somewhere else. And it's the same way at the county. I mean, when it's budget cutting time, typically we cut the wants, not the needs. This may be an opportunity, and these are one-time expenses for a lot of these, so it's not like they're gonna be buying over and over again. But I do believe that community law enforcement is probably the best way to identify who needs to be told about these other nonprofits. So if I'm on the opioids and the sheriff arrests me and he says, wait, I see you have this problem and I know of these 7 organizations that may be able to help you. If that money is spent on an ATV to help that person get to me to get rid of my drugs or my paraphernalia, I think it's money well spent on the front side.
So what is, this ATV with the routes and things, $50,000 when it's all said and done. I mean, it has some training in here too, 4,000.
Yes.
So what is the ATV gonna be used for?
So it can go into more remote areas, that's specific to the city of Seneca, who has the largest homeless population within the county. There's an area behind a shopping center that is inaccessible by vehicle and not safe to travel by foot. There are a couple of areas in and around the Utica area that were inaccessible by vehicle and are not safe to travel by foot. And I think it just, if I understood it correctly from Chief Bowling, provided them a way to reach people that were otherwise quote-unquote unreachable.
I also read in there.
Glenn Hart takes his 2000 Ford Ranger in about any place in the county.
You know what they say about Ford Rangers?
Ain't no danger in a Ranger.
That's right.
From what I read in there, they will use these vehicles. I think the city of Westminster is getting an F-150. Seneca's getting the UTV. They're gonna use them as promotional vehicles also. They'll be badged for that purpose. And they'll use them in city events and such as that. So it'll be a promotional vehicle for them.
But am I supposed to see a UTV? decide I'm not going to do drugs anymore, how do they use it for promotional for opioids and narcotics?
It'll be at city events. It'll be a display. They'll use it for display at city events to get the word out that they have those programs that can be utilized, is the way I took it. I hope I didn't read it wrong, but that's the way I took it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna vote for this, but I wanted everybody to know what kind of money and where it's going.
I will let,
Even though I have my reservation, but I will be voting for it.
is this a reoccurring fund or is this a one-time?
We'll receive additional funds over the course of time.
I believe so. I think for, Mr. Chairman,
What will be the sundown time on it?
it's really when the litigation is all complete, they're still considering add-in defendants. So I don't know when the sundown time would be. I would say though that the bulk of funds have probably been received now by the county or will be received shortly. I think we've hit the big lump of defendants who've settled. So there will be more, as Amanda said, but I wouldn't say it's a trickle more, but less of this big tranche of funds at one time.
Okay. Are there any other discussion? I hear it says it's the staff's recommendation, council approve this submission of the Oconee County Opioid Recovery Fund application to the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund Board. I hear a motion.
So moved.
I think we've had all the discussion. All in favor?
Vote is 5-0.
Okay. Next order of business is council committee reports. Mr. Durham had one.
Yes, sir. So on March 4th, we had the Budget Finance Administration Committee. And in that meeting, we essentially just reviewed and ironed out the priorities we set in the strategic planning meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Durham. Moving on, board and commission appointments. For Building Codes Appeal Board, we got 2 at-large seats, but we have no questionnaires on file. I need a motion to enter executive session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I could just state the reasons for executive session for the crowd in attendance and online. 3 items: to receive legal advice and discuss potential contractual matter related to property development proposal. We deleted item 2. Item 3 is to receive legal advice and discuss potential lease of real property for emergency services and related purposes. And item 4 is to receive legal advice and discuss litigation, the bond lawsuit. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Root?
We never voted. No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion? There's no actions coming out of executive session. Do I hear a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
That is 5-0.
All right, the last, point of order for the meeting is the first reading of the following ordinance. Ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of real property sublease agreement between West Union Volunteer Fire Department as a subleaser in Oconee County, South Carolina, as a subleasee, with the approval and consent of the town of West Union and Torrington Road, LLC, as leaseors for certain real property located within the town of West Union, adjacent to the West Railroad Street, Neville Street, and South Carolina Highway 11, and other matters related thereto.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
That is 5-0.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.